Alright, welcome in episode 8 of From the Nosebleeds. Thank you guys for joining us today. Alright, obviously the biggest news since last time we talked. Bron, going back home. I was shocked. I wasn't shocked. I feel like the longer it drug out, the more I thought he was staying in Miami.
Yeah, I thought his continued silence and his just kind of let everybody talk, and I thought he was going to come out and say he was staying in Miami. Well, honestly, my faith was with the Cavs, just because I just feel like he's ready to leave. I feel like after that last performance in the final, I feel like he doesn't have anything else to do at Miami. But I think you're right. With him waiting that long, I kind of thought that he might stay in Miami. But overall, I thought he would go to the Cavs.
The biggest issue with LeBron waiting and being silent for, we say it was so long, but it was really only a matter of a couple days. After he opted out, I guess he waited probably a week and a half or so, but there was only about 5 real days of real speculation where the media really hyped up him going to Cleveland. But what it did was put the entire rest of the NBA was just on hold until he made his decision. Like, there were practically no deals except for a couple guys re-signing and taking long-term deals. Like, you had Kyrie getting $90 million. But other than that, everybody was just waiting for LeBron to make a decision. I mean, you had the Rockets were praying that LeBron would go to Cleveland because they figured if he goes to Cleveland, they get Bosh. LeBron does go to Cleveland, and they still miss out on Chris Bosh for some reason that I couldn't fathom at the time. But I guess Miami thought he was worth the money too, and they gave him an even bigger paycheck. That blew my...
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what people are seeing in Chris Bosh, but obviously not his performance in the past 2 years.
Must be all those bath salts down in Miami that they just can't handle it.
When Houston said, what was it, 4 years, like $94 million or something? Yeah. I was like, done, deal.
Yep, me too.
Sign the contract. If I'm Chris Bosh, I can't sign that fast enough. And then he's like, well... And then you had the whole offer sheet thing with Chandler Parsons, and the Rockets are sitting there kind of waiting in limbo with LeBron. Like, they need LeBron to make a decision ASAP so that they can get the ball rolling. And then it was just I'm just like, well, it's just a matter of time before Bosh signs that deal. Like, as soon as LeBron leaves or whatever, I was like, he needs to go. He needs to take that money.
Yeah.
And then LeBron goes, and you're like, all right, Bosh should be signing in the matter of minutes. And then you get the alert that says, nope. Bosh turns down the Rockets, says he's staying in Miami. And then you see Miami offer him a max deal. He got 5 years, $118 million. What the hell?
I don't understand that. I'm kind of upset about it just because I really would have liked to see Dwight Howard and James Harden play together, and in Bosh, but I just think that would have been an interesting combo just to see how that would have worked out. Yeah. But I'm like you. I'm like, I don't understand where they see that talent from, because.
I guess we'll see how it works out. But if they're paying him that kind of money, you got to think that he is the guy. LeBron's not there. Wade's at the end of his career. Bosh is a max guy deal right now. So, by the looks of their roster, Chris Bosh went from the third musketeer to top dog.
I don't know how. Wade's definitely not in his prime anymore. They just signed Luol Deng. He can come in and be some kind of help there. But
that's a good pickup.
I just don't think. We were talking about it earlier. LeBron is just. You see the effect it has on teams. The Cavs went from 150 to 1 odds to win a national championship or a world championship next season to 3-1.
Yeah.
By just signing one player.
Yep. And they're still waiting on Kevin Love, which
Yeah.
it looks to be shaky because it seems like the Cavs don't really want to give up Wiggins. If they could keep Wiggins, have Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, and get Kevin Love,
RIP the next 5 years.
that's pretty insane. But I feel like the Timberwolves are a little bit smarter than that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're obviously willing to trade Kevin Love because he's basically demanded a trade. He's not happy in Minnesota. He wants to get out. He's going to be a free agent next year anyway. So if the Timberwolves are smart, they'll just trade him and get some kind of value for him. But I think they're going to need Wiggins in that deal for it to work for both parties. And if you're the Cavs, I think that's not unreasonable. I mean, yeah, Wiggins is your first pick. He looks like he could be a bright star, but he hasn't proved anything yet. What's the harm of trading him to Minnesota? He'll be there for 3-4 years, and in the meantime, you get Kevin Love, LeBron James, Kyrie Irving. That sounds like a fair deal to me.
Yeah.
Trading away a guy you just picked up this year who hasn't proved anything, still is very fresh. He's got a lot. He's got a lot to learn. His game still needs a lot of polishing. Let him go develop somewhere else for a year, and you take the guy who's already ready to go, ready to win a title.
I mean, it's definitely a it's definitely a concept people consider. I mean, I feel like it's more of the let's play now instead of the future type deal. But at the same time, I mean, these people that are playing on the Cavs are not old. I mean,
No.
LeBron's got a good long while until he retires. Kyrie Irving's a spring chicken. It's just, I mean, that team's not old. So, I mean, it's not, I don't think it's a bad decision because, I mean, it's not like they've got Paul Pierce about to retire or somebody. I mean,
That was an interesting move, Paul Pierce to the Wizards. But
Yeah.
that could work out. That could be the leadership role they needed. They looked like they were about one player away last year from making a deeper run into the playoffs. But back to LeBron, because, I mean, he is the story. He's what everybody's been talking about. They even try, I mean, he even made the decision on a Friday afternoon, which is typically where you dump news that you kind of want to get swept under the rug. It was the Friday afternoon. Not happening, LeBron. Nope.
no way.
They were still talking about it Sunday morning. um, Personally, for me, we kind of talked about this in the last episode about whether we thought it'd be a good move or not for him to go back to Cleveland. And I initially said I didn't really like it because it just felt like he was cherry picking titles for me, just because he's got. I mean, he was in Cleveland. They went to the finals a couple times, didn't get it done. And then he goes to Miami, goes 4 straight years, wins 2 championship rings. Now he opts out, and he sees Kyrie Irving over with the Cavs. Hears him talking about getting K-Love. It's like, all right, time to go back home. Let's go win a ring back home. But and the whole decision process with me really turned me off of LeBron. For at least the first 2 years, I hated LeBron after that decision, and last year he kind of grew on me a little bit more. This year, he's grown on me. And then just the way he handled this whole transition back home to Cleveland, he really won me over. Like, I'm back on the LeBron bandwagon. I like how even during all of the media speculation, while it was he's going to Cleveland, no, he's staying in Miami, like, the media kept changing their mind on a daily basis of what he was going to do. And you didn't hear one word out of LeBron.
No, nothing.
He didn't give any credit to any of the stories. He didn't put anything out there that would leave you to believe one thing, and then he did another. He stayed quiet. He did his own thing, and then when it was time, he was ready to make the decision. He did it in a classy way. It wasn't anything super flashy. Not 5, not 6, not 7. It was not. I mean, it was a personal letter from himself in an interview, and he also did the interview with the SI, put him on cover story. It's a great move for me. I mean, if you've read his letter, it's actually pretty well. He's well spoken, well written. basically said he wants to be in Cleveland. That's where his heart is. That's where he wants to retire. That's where he wants to raise his children. So that's a good move on my part. I mean, he won me back over. He everything wrong he did with the decision, he did right the second time around.
No,
You can
yeah,
definitely
you're right.
tell he's matured.
Yeah, definitely. He's not just this immature, cocky guy anymore. I mean, definitely I think the championships definitely humbled him a little bit, and definitely the losses even humbled him a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, knowing that he's the best in the world, I mean, it's got to go to your head a little bit.
Yeah. Going to Miami definitely helped him. He learned how to win and how to lose the right way.
Yeah.
He got humbled by the Spurs this year, and he handled it with pure class. He gave his hat off to Popovich and the rest of the Spurs. There's no bad blood there. Really, he lost with class, and he won with class. And now he's heading back to Cleveland. With basically what's been, you can almost compare it to like going to Miami was like going to college for LeBron.
Yeah.
He's definitely not the same player he was when he was in Cleveland 5 years ago. His game is even better than it was, and we didn't think that was possible. He's improved all of the little nuances of his game, and like we said, he's learned how to win. He's learned how to lose. He learned how to be a leader and a team player. I think he's going to really help develop Kyrie Irving into one of the bright superstars of the game.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see that. I know, obviously in college, Kyrie Irving wasn't my favorite, but once the NBA draft is all the rivalries kind of go out the window, and I just kind of root for. I mean, I'll root for people like Jabari Parker and Andrew Wiggins. So,
Yeah.
but so it will definitely be fun to see him grow, especially under LeBron James, and I don't know, maybe some of that LeBron magic will rub off on Kyrie Irving.
One of the things that the media kind of has been hitting on recently, because with the letter, he said he wants this to be a long-term thing. This is where he wants to finish his career. He's coming home to stay home. He doesn't want to make any more moves. And then his contract details come out, and it's 2 years, $42.1 million, and everybody's just kind of left scratching their heads like, long-term, finish my career, and then it's a 2-year deal. Like, it just doesn't really add up. When you think about it, it's just LeBron protecting himself. Just because he didn't sign a 10-year deal worth $5 billion doesn't mean that he doesn't want to stay, or he isn't going to stay in Cleveland the rest of his career. That's him making sure that he's going to get the most money that he can possibly get throughout the rest of his career. In 2 years, there's a new CBA deal that needs to be worked out. So by the end of that, possibly the max deal goes up. He's in prime position to get even more money than he's getting right now, which, who can blame him? He deserves to be the highest paid player in the NBA. He's not, but he deserves to get as much money as he can possibly get. And if that means signing short-term deals where he's renewing his contract every year, every 2 years, fine, so be it. Another thing it helps up, it helps for him to, because I mean he's got an opt-out option next year. So if he has to opt out just so he can restructure his deal, and they can get more players in, kind of like they did this year. If it's something like opting out so you can get another guy like Kevin Love or somebody, whoever's going to be a free agent next year,
Yeah.
that works out fine. So I think it's a pretty smart move when you actually look at it, and it also gives LeBron all of the leverage, just like he had this year. When he opted out, the whole NBA was on pause, waiting for LeBron to make his decision, and literally any team in the NBA that had the cap space or the money or basically the want for him, which everybody wants him, it's just a matter of getting it done.
Yeah.
They all would have done anything he wanted if he would say, yes, I'll play with your team. If you do this, this, and this, I'll come join your team. They would have all done it within 24 hours.
Oh, easily. I completely agree. I mean, It's
So
LeBron James.
so
You don't say no.
he obviously saw what this experience was like, saw what happened with the rest of the NBA. I mean, there was literally almost no deals unless you were re-signing with the team. There was no movement really, except for a few small players that weren't going to make a big difference. It was like all of the big players: Pau Gasol, Chris Bosh, Wade, Melo. Everybody was on hold, just waiting for LeBron to make this decision.
Yeah, then after LeBron made his decision, it was like the floodgates were open.
Yes.
Everybody's like, all right, well, we need to move now.
Yes, it was, all right, so LeBron's here, and that was just a domino that set the rest of them off.
Yeah.
It was like, all right, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, we need to go here, 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 then we need to do this. It was just a big whole slew of things, and one of them, the biggest move that I really liked, this year, the Eastern Conference was kind of a joke. It was just kind of who's going to meet the Heat in the finals, and we all assumed the Pacers. Who's going to meet the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals? We all assumed Pacers, and that's exactly what it was. Pacers struggled in the playoffs, but throughout the season, it was them and the Heat just kind of walked through that conference. And then the West was a totally different story. The West was high competition, and you didn't really know who was going to make it out alive. The Spurs, with the experience, ended up doing it. But now, the way free agency has been shaping up this offseason, the Eastern Conference is looking pretty good next year. It might not be as competitive as the West still, but with Pau Gasol going to Chicago may be a front runner, depending on which Derrick Rose shows up.
Yeah.
If it's the handicapped one who needs a wheelchair to get up the court, then they're obviously still in trouble and they need a point guard. But if it's the D-Rose from feels like 10 years ago.
Yeah, I know it does. It feels like forever since he's played.
I guess it's been 3 years now. If they can get that D-Rose back, look out. A healthy a healthy Derrick Rose, Pau Gasol, Joakim Noah. That's a pretty decent squad. Yeah. I think they would be. Aside from, I mean, you want to say the Cavs are gonna be first, but I mean, Kyrie Irving's still proven himself. He's still a big star. He's worth the money he got. LeBron James is there. They don't have Kevin Love yet, and Wiggins hasn't done. I mean, he's had a couple highlights in the summer league. That's it. And then you've got Varejao, who's a solid role player, but nobody that's going to be a tipping point for your team. If they get Kevin Love, then we'll start talking championship. But right now, as the pieces sit as they are right today, Chicago's probably the favorite in the East. It's probably Chicago. I'd maybe say Cleveland 2, either 2 or 3. I wouldn't put them farther down than 3. Miami, even though they just lost LeBron James, they're not looking too shabby. They get Luol Deng in there. They've got Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade on the downhill of his career, but he's still a solid starter. They add a few more pieces. That squad doesn't look too bad. You still got the Pacers. Lance Stevenson still trying to work out a deal with somebody. He's just kind of in the swing. I figured he would have been a guy that signed a little quicker. He's still kind of floating around there. Rumors of where he'll go. And then you got the West. I mean, the Lakers just lost Pau Gasol. That was their second best player.
Yeah.
So right now they've really got Kobe and then a lot of young, unproven guys.
Yeah.
Julius Randle looked well. He's looked good in the summer league, but again, it's just summer league.
Yeah.
Houston just whiffed on everybody they wanted. They got Trevor Ariza, but they give away Jeremy Lin to the Lakers. And then you assume they were going to get Bosh. They don't get Bosh. Trevor Ariza is a nice piece, but I'm sure they're still looking for some extra pieces to go with that. The Thunder didn't really do anything in free agency, but they got a lot of good pickups in the draft. And then the next biggest move is Melo decides to stay with the Knicks.
Yeah, I was a little surprised, but honestly not too much.
He took a lot longer than expected too. It seemed like the media came out and said he's told his inner circle he's staying with the Knicks. He's expected to come out and tell the Knicks that he's going to re-sign. And it was like they said he was going to do it within 24 hours, and it took 5 or 6 days.
Yeah.
He was done with his visits, but he just waited forever to make a decision when it seemed like we had already known that he was going to re-sign with the Knicks for a while. Takes the money, 5 years, I think a minimum of 122 million. I think
something like that.
so. He took like a $6 million pay cut. I think he was originally scheduled to get like 129, but so maybe that frees up a little bit of space to go out and get somebody. But they definitely need somebody if they want to make a playoff run. Derrick Rose was on Mike and Mike today or yesterday, and he came out and said that the Knicks would be in the playoffs. So we'll see how that goes. And that's pretty much all the big moves in free agency so far. Like I said, I'm back on the LeBron wagon. I don't know about you. I'm not gonna go buy a jersey.
Yeah,
or anything,
I'm
but,
about the same way. I mean, I definitely don't hate him anymore.
Yeah.
But it'll be I want to choose my words carefully so I don't get called a bandwagon fan. But it will definitely be interesting to watch him play in Cleveland. And I'll enjoy watching him play in Cleveland.
As far as bandwagon goes, that's tough for me in the NBA because NBA is such a player-driven league.
Yeah.
It's hard to just pick a team unless you got a team right there in your hometown. I mean, we've got the Grizzlies, but I don't know.
I feel kind of disconnected.
Yeah, I've never been too fond of them. I mean, and maybe that's because they've never had a high-profile all-star. I mean, they've got Zach Randolph, but I mean, he's a second or third tier kind of guy. I don't know. I've always just kind of liked to find players I like and kind of follow them, and that's kind of how the NBA is. I mean, you got the Jordan fans from back in the day. I mean, he stayed with the Bulls most of his career except when he left and came back with the Wizards, but I don't know. Like, you got the Kobe fans. Some of these players just haven't left anywhere, so you can say you're a Lakers fan, but really you've just been a Kobe fan for so long.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm a big Kevin Durant guy. I like the Thunder. I like watching Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook play. I like Steph Curry. I love seeing a guy who can just sit out there and rain three-pointers for days. I loved watching the Spurs play. So, I mean, it's hard for me to just pick one team. I like seeing teams with players I like. I liked the Pacers. I didn't like the Heat. I think it was the fans. I hope that doesn't really happen with the Cavs, but I'm sure it will. But the Heat fans just kind of pissed me off, and that kind of turned me off of them. But I like the squad that Cleveland's built. I like Kyrie Irving. LeBron James kind of won me back with this decision. Kevin Love's a solid player if they can get him in there.
Yeah.
Wiggins looks like he's going to be fun to watch if they can keep him as well. So
yeah, I know the highlights from the Summer League games I've been watching have been pretty sick.
Yeah. They've looked good. We'll see how it transitions into the regular season, but that's still a long ways away.
Yeah.
Next biggest news, I mean, LeBron managed to trump this. World Cup final. Germany wins it in extra time. Götze scores in the 114th minute.
Absolutely gorgeous goal.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Solid. I mean, and I think probably the best thing is that somebody did score in extra time and it didn't go to PKs.
Yeah, I think I said my ideal moment would have been they both teams score in extra time, then they go to PKs.
I'm the opposite. I don't want that game to go to PKs because as exciting and gut-wrenching as penalty kicks are, that's not how you want a World Cup final to be decided because it doesn't guarantee that the best team wins. I think Germany was the better team. I'm glad that they got the goal in extra time and that they won it. But if it would have gone to PKs, if nobody would have scored in extra time, and it would have gone to PKs, and Argentina would have won, that would mean that Argentina would have just won the World Cup final without scoring a single goal in their last two games.
Yeah.
They didn't score at all in regulation against the Netherlands, and they won it in PKs. And if they would have done the same thing against Germany, I feel like everybody would have just been like, well, that's kind of lame.
Yeah.
They didn't really deserve that. I mean, for God's sake, Germany beat Brazil into the dirt 7-1. And Argentina skidded past Netherlands in PKs, and then they get past Germany in PKs and win the World Cup. It just doesn't seem right to me. Germany played the best tournament, I feel. feel they were the most deserving out of all the teams. They played the most complete tournament. I feel like they deserve to win, and that was a pretty exciting way to win in the 114th minute. So overall, this is the best World Cup that I've been alive for.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to say that myself. I also think it has something to do with, I mean, we're old enough now to really appreciate the game and really to be able to watch everything and to keep tabs on players we like. And I mean, because this is really the this is really the first World Cup that we've got enough information and enough, I mean, really want to, because I mean, I know in 2010, I mean, I watched the World Cup games, but
I was pretty all in on the 2010 World Cup. But that was probably the first one that I could say I was all into, and I watched it from start to finish. I mean, 2006 World Cup, I was in 6th grade, so I mean, I watched it. I watched the USA, but I mean, I didn't really keep tabs with it. And then 2010, I was a sophomore in high school, so I was big into soccer at that point. Like, I was eating, living, and breathing it, so I was all in on that one. And then now this one I'm done playing. And it was really fun to just sit back and watch it as a fan and watch every game that I could possibly watch.
Yeah.
I watched.
Yeah, I know. I ran the data up on my phone because I watched the U.S. game at work.
I think
That's ridiculous.
watching it at work, but I think probably the coolest thing about the World Cup is this mass gathering of people.
Yeah.
Just getting together and watching. I mean, Chicago Bears Stadium was filled to capacity watching USA play. And I mean,
watching a game on a TV.
Yeah, people have been talking about World Cup ratings. I mean, they've been pretty solid, but I mean, but they're trying to compare World Cup ratings to NFL. I'm sorry, but there is nothing, not anything that can even touch the NFL ratings in America, at least.
Yeah, no.
If you compare anything to the NFL, it's gonna lose 10 times out of 10. But that's just not a fair comparison. But when you take into account how many people are getting together in one location and watching the game, not just individual TV sets, but thousands of people meeting up in one location and watching the game on one TV. Like, I don't think the ratings tell the whole story, because there's so many of these watch parties that are happening. There's just hundreds of people are getting together all at once and watching the games. Thousands of people are getting together at these big NFL stadiums and watching the games. That was the coolest part for me.
Yeah, no, it was definitely so fun to watch. I mean, I know that, I mean, I get excited about soccer even more than I do football or basketball or anything like that. And I think partly that has to do with I've played it before. I realize how difficult it is to score a goal, and how and also the fact that it only does come around once every 4 years.
Yeah, it adds to the prestige of it all. And now we're just sitting here waiting like, wow. Like, it was over and it was so fun, but now it's just like, boom, it's gone. It's like, all right, 4 more years. But if you're looking for a little silver lining, we really only got to wait one more year. And then America actually has a chance of winning this thing. The women play next year in the World Cup.
And we're always a powerhouse.
They ain't no joke.
No.
As long as Hope Solo can stay out of jail, I guess. That's kind of a big issue.
It's kind of a big issue.
Stop hitting your family, Hope.
Stop hitting your family, Hope.
So we wait one more year and we get to watch the women play. It won't draw as many viewers as this one did, obviously, but America has a better shot of winning this one, sadly.
Yeah.
And then
we went to the final last World Cup.
Lost to Japan.
Yeah. Japan's another powerhouse, though.
Yeah, Japan.
Which is weird.
Japan, Brazil, and America, they dominate the women's soccer.
Mata.
Yeah. Other than that, after you get past that, I mean, sports is pretty
flat
dead right now. I mean, July is a pretty boring month for sports when you've got Tigers returning for the Open, but woo.
Golf, yay.
It's not pulling in huge numbers
Yeah.
either, but I mean, now it's just kind of like, what do we do? I mean, the World Cup has helped bridge this gap in the football offseason between like the NBA ending and just anticipating football. World Cup did a wonderful job of bridging that gap, but now it's gone, and we're still about a month away from football, so it's just like, what do we do?
I feel like
Just go back under our rocks?
I feel like a lost puppy, just like looking for some.
Yeah.
It's like, please give me anything.
Like you scroll through the TV and anything that mentions football is like, go, go. You don't care if it's arena football, like pee-wee flag football. Like I'll put
Like,
money on that game. Let's
Super
go, Jimmy.
Bowl 10.
Anything.
Yeah.
Like you got SEC media days going on right now, and it's just like sharks going at blood in the water. Like football, it's coming. So I'm just ready for it to start. Like anything, preseason game, something.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing I'm excited for now is get my fantasy football roster set up.
Yes.
I don't know about you guys. I know Trey's in with this with me, but I love fantasy football. Like I will probably change that roster 15 times before it's finally set.
Easily.
Even if it's just like moving a guy to the bench and then moving him right back. Like I will compare the dumbest, most mind-numbing stats to try and figure out who has the edge and who I should start. And I'm really excited to talk about fantasy football when football season comes around. We're going to start. That's when this show is really going to take off, I think. Because we started this show in the off season, and I feel like it's just been killing us. We started this show right around the draft. That's what our first episode was NFL draft preview. And ever since then, we've just been kind of latching on to little stories here and there to get us through this off season, and it's just so close now. We're about a month away from seeing football action, and we're probably 2.5, 3 weeks away from getting this fantasy football league set up. So I think this week probably we're going to focus on getting the league set up and getting members in. We're gonna by the next episode we're gonna have a plan for you guys on how we're gonna set it up. It's probably gonna be we'll probably do anywhere from like an 8 to 12 team league. These are the things we'll talk about and discuss, and we'll get nailed down, and we'll set a date for the draft. But in the meantime, hit us up on Twitter or something if you guys are interested in joining the league, and we'll for sure try and save you a spot. It's gonna be fun. We'll be talking about our league and fantasy football in general every week once football starts up. We'll be hitting college football hard, so get ready because this show is fixing to take a turn once football season starts. I guarantee it.
Yeah, it's gonna be nothing but football. I mean,
yeah. If something else happens,
yeah,
we'll throw it in. But yes, we will be all in on football. This show is coming to you live from the Bible Belt down in the South. We will talk about football.
We will talk about football. We live and breathe football.
We live in Tennessee. Where neither of us are Vols fans, big Titans fans. But holy smokes, when football season starts, it's like, I don't know, it's like nothing else around in the South. Like, that's all you can talk about. No matter where you go, somebody's going to be talking about football. And if they're not a football fan, you just kind of look at them like they're some weird, like, alien from a different planet. Like, what? You don't... What?
Like football? What?
What do you do with your life? Like, read books or something? Learn? The hell? Even... You know who Peyton Manning is, boy?
Peyton Manning is, boy.
So we're definitely counting down the days until football season starts. 47 days... Nope, I think it's 46 days today until Alabama football starts. So we got the countdown going. Next episode, like I said, we'll have the details for the fantasy league for you guys. And we're probably going to try and work in a prize for that too. We'll give away a free From the Nosebleeds t-shirt like Trey's wearing. maybe a gift card to Dick's or something like that. Just hit us up on Twitter and shoot us some ideas. Maybe we get a trophy or something. Just if you're interested in the league, hit us up on Twitter and throw us some ideas that you guys have that you think would be a cool prize, and we'll see if we can work that out for you. But in the meantime, check us out on Twitter at FTNB Podcast, and then on our website from the nosebleedsports.wordpress.com. I think we're going to be working on getting a Facebook page put up there soon, where you guys can be our friends. But thanks for joining us this episode. We'll see you guys later. Thanks.